What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Powerhouse Mentality podcast. I'm your host. I am Caitlin Kenneth Smith, and today is December 27th. Now, on the 23rd of December, I turned 29. And first of all, I have no idea how that happened because I feel like it was just yesterday that I turned 21 and then just yesterday that I turned 15 or 16. But it's part of life. We get older, and I know that some people can get butthurt about that. I'm a little butthurt about it, I'm not going to lie. And the reason why is because my husband continues to remind me that next year I turn 30. So I'm less than 365 days away from being in my 30s, which is wild. But it's also a testament to show you that life goes by really fucking quick and that we really have to make the most of each and every opportunity and day that we have. And I think that's one of the things that has really been highlighted this year to me is there were so many moments in my life that I wish I would have been more present for. And I think this year I did a really good job of being present and really spending time where I was instead of always thinking about what's next or what happened earlier in the day or thinking about, honestly, just like bullshit that doesn't even matter, especially in the moment, when you should really be focused on creating memories and being fully engaged in what you're trying to do. And that's only one lesson that I've learned out of my 28 years on this planet, or 29 years on this planet. But what I wanted to come together and do for you guys today is do my own self-reflection of the last year of my life. So the 28th year of my life, I wanted to do a year reflection. And originally I was just going to do this for myself, just to kind of have that knowledge and have that information for myself to be able to gauge, okay, what did I do well this year? What do I feel like I need to improve on moving forward in order to continue to build the life that I want and make the impact that I want and build the family that I want and really just the life that I want. But then I thought, this reflection could actually add value to a lot of people who listen to my podcast or watch my content. Because you guys who listen and watch, I'm sure you're listening and watching, not because you just don't have anything to do with your life. You're listening and watching because you want to become a better version of yourself in some capacity. So with my reflection, the lessons that I learned, maybe somebody who hasn't learned those lessons yet, who's older, or somebody who's younger who hasn't learned those lessons yet, they can maybe take what I've learned and apply it to their life and improve their life in some way, shape, or form. Because that's exactly why I do this podcast. And I call it my passion project because I'm so passionate about this, about being able to help people and share a message. And there's a difference between passion and love because a lot of people mistake that. Like, passion is something that you love so much that you're literally willing to sacrifice and suffer for. So that's important to have in your life in some way. Find something that you're passionate about. Find something that lights your soul on fire. But today I wanted to share with you my top 6 biggest lessons that I've learned from my 28th year on this planet. And, I'm 29, so I'm not the oldest person. I don't have the most, experience with podcasting, building business, doing all of those things, but I do have experience in life. And I feel like everybody's life experience is valuable, no matter how old or how young they are. And the reason I believe that is because everybody has a different path that they're on. Maybe some people have a similar path to the path that I've been on or the path that you've been on, but everybody has a unique path. And with that, unique experiences where they learn different lessons. And even the same person who is on the same path as another person, a completely identical path, based on their perspective towards the events and things that have happened in their life, they're going to have a different experience. Because your experience in life doesn't come from the events or circumstances or situations. Your experience in life comes from how you perceive those situations. And that's why perspective, perception, all of those things are so important in you being able to live your best life. So, I came up with 6. And the reason why I came up with 6 is because I sat down, I was typing things out and writing out some notes, and I was like, you know what? There are 6. There are 6 that literally just jumped up at me, and I don't want to really dig too much if they weren't super obvious. And I don't want to overwhelm you guys with too many things because I want you to be able to grasp each and every one of them and see if like it's something that you need to apply into your life or something that you can learn and grow from, or if it's something that you've already learned. Either way, if you've already learned it, I think it's important to hear it multiple times because the reality is most of us need to hear things about 1,000,000 times. And that's being dramatic, but it's like 40 times or something like that to be able to actually grasp the information. And a lot of people just absorb information and they never actually apply it. And I think that's a waste of space in your head because you need to be able to not just learn things, but also apply things, which is why I like to teach you how to do both here. So the first one, and I think that this one would be just like the first one, number one, is the importance of communication. And not just communication, right? But like the importance of good communication. And I feel like it's like a lost art in today's society. People just don't know how to communicate with each other, or they just don't know how to communicate with each other well. I mean, the amount of times that I'll go to a grocery store or I'll go to a gas station and I go to check out and the person's not even paying attention to me, which, you know, I don't care. I don't want people to just pay attention to me. That's not what I'm saying. But the amount of times I go somewhere and somebody is just on their phone, not paying attention to the person in front of them, not even looking them in the eye, not even saying hello, not even saying have a good day. It's just like basic things that for me, I think they're just like non-negotiables that you should always do, because how I like to approach a conversation is how can I be the most impactful thing this person has today? Like, how can I make this person remember the conversation that we have? How can I make this conversation make their day a little bit better? And that could be as simple as you just acknowledging somebody when you're checking out and getting groceries. Maybe just say, hey, have a good day, Karen, or have a good day, Bob, or whatever the fuck their name is, because they wear a name tag for a reason. And when you can say that, or when you can truly not just ask, how is their day, but what's the best part of your day? Or how about when you ask them, how's your day, you don't just settle for good. You say, okay, cool. Well, what have you been doing? Like, create a conversation. God damn it. But it doesn't just go like to the simple things. I think communication goes so much deeper than that. And really good communication is the foundation for any good relationship, whether it be a work relationship, a friend relationship, or a partner relationship. And being that this was also my first year married to Stone, it also showed me the importance of communication in a good, healthy marriage. And a lot of people don't want to take the time to do that because it's like the, choose your hard situation. Having a good marriage is hard because you have to be willing to communicate. You have to be willing to go a little bit of the extra mile for that other person because you guys are a team. It's not you and you anymore. It's us. But a lot of people aren't willing to do that work. So then they say, well, like a poor marriage is also really hard, right? Because like, how awful is it that you've grown apart from your person? Or how awful is it that like you think that that person resents you because you can't have a fucking conversation with them? Or that you go home and you don't have somebody to just confide in. And I'm blessed to be able to have Stone and have the relationship that we have, but it hasn't been easy. Like, we've built that relationship together. We've put work into it. He was gone for 5 months out of this year. That was tough. But because we were able to communicate and we always reflected on how we felt, and when somebody wasn't necessarily, like, if somebody was having a bad day, instead of just like ignoring that person, or instead of like creating a story in our head, we actually had a conversation. And a lot of people mess this one up and they ruin what could have potentially been a really beautiful relationship. Again, whether it be work, friendship, or marriage. And I think the biggest thing is that people are afraid to have tough conversations. But tough conversations are an essential part of life. And they are because so many people will just let things go, and never have that tough conversation with somebody. And then that person's on the complete other side of the spectrum and they have no idea what they've done wrong because you never opened your mouth because you were afraid. But why are you afraid? You have to be able to face that tough conversation, because every tough conversation that I've ever had, both parties come out better in some way. One example of this is when I used to manage gyms, a lot of the other managers, because we would talk a lot, would say they would just complain about their salespeople. Oh, they're faking calls. They're doing this. They're not doing that. They're not doing what they're supposed to. They're not reading the scripts right. Okay, have you had that conversation with them and asked them, hey, like, why are you faking calls? Or like coming at it at a different perspective, like, hey, how do you feel like this is going to make you better? Or what are your goals within the company? Do you want to be better, or do you not necessarily want to be here? You have to ask those questions, because if you don't, then you're not going to make that person better. And that's your job as a manager. You're a leader. And there's a very big difference between a leader and a manager. So instead, what you could do, and what I would always do, is ask that person, like, I would call them out on their bullshit. And it would be a tough conversation, but it would always make that person better, because sometimes I would find out that they didn't know they were doing anything wrong. And if they don't know that they're doing anything wrong, how are they going to be able to improve in any area of their life? So it's kind of like your obligation to be able to take on that tough conversation and have that tough conversation, no matter how challenging it is, but always keep in mind two things. The other person's perspective, why would they think this way? There has to be a reason. They're not just being ridiculous. There has to be something that they're invested in, and see it from their point of view. But two, the second thing you have to remember is that there has to be a goal with the tough conversation. What I see too often is that people go into a tough conversation without a goal necessarily. Like, they're not trying to solve this problem. They're just going in, they're just attacking the person. And then that person feels attacked, starts attacking back. And then it's just, you're pulling shit out of everywhere. And now everybody's upset. So the number one thing I've learned this year, tough conversations are so important to have. You can't be afraid to have them, no matter how tough they are, because they're going to make everyone better. And they're going to allow people to move on with their life, no matter what the outcome is. And communication is such an important part of any relationship. So number two, the second lesson, finding joy in the little things. And this is something that I've actually started making sure that my clients are doing on a daily basis. Because what I find is that we almost get too caught up in the hectic nature of life, and we never actually take a step back to be able to enjoy the things that we've built or the things that we have. And I think it's very important to continue working hard. Obviously, if you've listened to my podcast at all, you understand, like, I don't take excuses, no bullshit, but I think it's very important for somebody to take a step back and actually enjoy things in life. Because if you don't enjoy your life experience, then what's the fucking point? Now, the best way to give yourself the best life experience is to have the discipline to develop personal excellence and chase something and pursue something and find fulfillment. But what about just enjoying the little things? Like the little things that most of us don't even put two thoughts towards. And those little things are things like, I don't know, sitting on the porch, watching the sunrise, enjoying a good cup of coffee with a view. Or, you know, seeing your spouse come home at the end of the day and just having a good hug. Or being able to like sit after a long day of work and say, okay, today was a good day, I made some progress. Like little things like this. Or for the parents out there, like, what are the little moments that maybe you're missing in your child's life because you're not necessarily paying attention and you're not finding the joy in those things? So one way that I like to do this and that I recommend my clients do this is because at first it's going to be really tough for somebody to go from not noticing anything in life that they find joy in, because a lot of people do this. They just kind of go throughout their life and they never take a step to say, oh, this makes me happy or this brings me joy. They just kind of go through life and they're in this rut or they're in this routine. But you need to take the time to find the joy in the little things, because the joy in the little things is going to be the thing that keeps you going when you don't want to go anymore, because it happens to all of us. So how I like to do this is at the end of every night, I sit in bed and I ask myself, well, what's the best part of my day? Or me and my husband do this. Like, I'll ask him, hey, what was the best part of your day? And because I've started doing it, he'll ask it back. And it allows us to kind of reflect on, okay, what was the best part of my day? And it allows me to look for really positive things in my life moving forward, because I know that either I'm going to ask myself that question or he's going to ask myself that question. So I want to be able to have an answer, and I want to know what was the best part of my day. So I have a more positive perspective in life, and I'm looking for finding joy in those little things. Like one of the little things that brings me joy is a good cup of coffee, some good quality time with my husband, sitting on the couch watching stupid YouTube videos, or I like just lighting a candle. Like there's something about lighting a candle that just brings joy to my life. And people might think that's stupid, but who fucking cares what people think? It's what brings joy to your life, not their life. Who cares? So find joy in your life every single day. Number 3 is lean into the fear and discomfort. And this is something that I've been gradually learning over the last, I'll call it like 4 or 5 years, as I went from being just a personal trainer to really dedicating my life to growing in that side of my career, like becoming a fitness manager, sales manager, general manager, and then having the gym shut down and me saying, okay, well, this is really fucking scary and really uncomfortable. What am I going to do? And since 2020, I would say I was really starting to seek discomfort, not just like accept it if it happened, but more seek discomfort to be able to help myself become better. Because a lot of people, they avoid discomfort because it's scary. And our brain is like, nah, I don't want that. I'm going to protect you, so I want to keep things comfortable. But our society, there's way too much comfort. Like I'm sitting in like a room that I can control the temperature of, right? I have water right there. I have water coming out of the faucet in the sink and fresh, like filtered water coming from the fridge. Like our society is so fucking comfortable. And we've built that through technology and through different things, but some people really don't understand how good we have it, and they don't appreciate that enough. And what I said earlier about passion is something that you love so much that you're willing to suffer and sacrifice for. So in order to suffer and sacrifice, you're going to have to lean into fear and discomfort. So if you're trying to achieve a fitness goal, or you're trying to build this life that you want, whether it be with your career or your family, whatever it is, you're going to have to get uncomfortable and you're going to have to get afraid. You're going to have to face the things that scare you. On the other side of fear is literally everything that you want out of life. But we're too scared to take a chance and take a risk to see what happens if we try. The strongest, the smartest person isn't going to be the most successful person. It's the person who's not willing to quit when things get fucking tough. Because if you're super strong, but every time you go to squat, you quit halfway through the rep, well, then you're never going to be good at squatting. However, the person who's not the strongest, who's maybe the weakest in the gym, they never quit. They're willing to work. They're willing to put in the time and focus to be able to get stronger. And then they don't quit when things get hard. They actually lean into that resistance. With resistance comes strength. It's a great analogy because it's literally what happens in the gym. You add more weight, you add more volume, you get stronger over time, your body adapts. The same thing happens in life. When you're put in tough, scary, uncomfortable situations, you build resiliency. You get stronger. You're able to handle things more than somebody who maybe wasn't put through tough situations. So if I'm going through a really tough time in my life, and there have been a lot of challenging moments in this year, if I'm going through a challenging moment or a really tough time, instead of running away from it or saying, boo me, or I wish this didn't happen to me, this always happens to me, I ask myself, this is just going to make me stronger. And there's something to be learned from that. Now, is it easy to do that? No. I want to just do what everyone else does and say, this sucks. I hate this. But what does that do? Fucking nothing. Action cures everything, including fear, including self-doubt. And if you're afraid to do something, because I know right now you're listening to this or you're watching this and there's something that you want to do, but you're afraid to do it, I want you to think about that fear and hold it in your hand, and I want you to let it go. Let go of the fear. Because if you never take action, you'll never know. So with that thing that you're afraid of doing, I want to ask you, and I want you to ask this to yourself. What's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is that you fuck up, you fail, you mess up, and you're right back to where you started. You literally have nothing to lose but everything to gain. You know how good it would feel if you accomplished or overcame that fear today and you went and laid down in bed and how fulfilled you would feel? That's where you find fulfillment and happiness, is with progress. And the only way to find progress is with fear. So throughout this year, I've really leaned into that discomfort and fear in all areas of my life. Tough conversations, doing stuff like this, to be able to grow my reach and grow the impact and get the life that I want. Because I could think about it and talk about it all day long, which I did for a really long time. I thought about doing this stuff. I thought about different podcast episodes that I could do. I talked to Stone about it. And then one day he said, well, why don't you just fucking do it? He didn't say fuck, because Stone doesn't curse. But he said, why don't you just do it? I said, you know what? I will. And I put it off for like another 3 weeks. And then I did it. And you know how great I felt when I did it? When I recorded the first episode of the podcast, I felt so good. Because I was able to overcome that fear. I felt so good because I was able to overcome that fear. So do that for yourself. Overcome the fear that you've been just looking at, watching, and not doing anything about. Overcome it today. Overcome it tomorrow. Do it now. Don't wait. Because if you continue to procrastinate, you're just continuing to procrastinate the days that you can spend in the life that you dream of. Because it's possible. So leaning into fear and discomfort is something that I've done very heavily this year. A lot with my training, a lot with my work. And it's allowed me to become better in all areas, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. Like I can just handle more. And all those tough things that you've been through in your life, abuse, eating disorders, addiction, poverty, whatever you've been through, those things make you more resilient. They callous your mind so that you can do more and you can handle more than somebody who wasn't put through those tough such situations. So all that shit that's happened to you, it hasn't happened to you, it's happened for you. So find out why. Number 4 is setting impossible goals. And I have an entire episode on setting impossible goals. I'll link them in the show notes below. But too many people don't set impossible goals. They set attainable goals, which is cool because when you attain a goal, then yes, it does provide confidence, which can allow you to continue and build momentum over time. But why not set a fucking impossible goal and then give yourself no other option? Say, that's what I'm getting. There's no plan B. This is what I want. Because the truth is, if you set an impossible goal and you say, this is what I want, and you go all in on it, you're probably going to get it. As long as you don't quit. You're going to fail. You're going to fuck up. You're going to mess up. You're going to fall flat on your face. I bet it's going to hurt. But as long as you just get back up, dust yourself off, and reevaluate, okay, what did I do wrong? What can I do better? And continue taking action, you're going to get to where you want to go. It takes time. Stop trying to rush the process and start actually setting the goals that you want for yourself and stop holding yourself back. You deserve a lot more than you think you do, but you have to go out and you have to earn those things. And if you go back and you listen to the episode that I had my client Sarah Schwally on, we talked a little bit about impossible goals because she set an impossible goal. And that was to get a huge PR in her marathon. She did it. 45-minute PR in a marathon. Wild. 30-minute PR. Wild. She's going for a 45-minute, the next one. That's why I'm all confused. Because that's another impossible goal. And then the next one is Boston qualifying. I have literally no doubt that she's going to do it because she's willing to put in the energy and effort and focus, and she's willing to sacrifice and suffer for it. So as long as you're willing to have the passion for the thing that you actually want, and it's not just, I just want to make money. You can make money doing so many things. Find the thing that you're passionate about and make money doing it that way. Have some weight to the thing that you want. When you have weight, you have passion. And when you have passion, you're willing to suffer and sacrifice for it. You're definitely going to get it. But you actually have to set that goal. You can't hold yourself back by setting these bullshit goals. Number 5, no is a complete sentence. And this one has been really hard for me to learn. And in fact, I'm still working on it because I'm truly a people pleaser at heart. And I think a lot of people would label themselves as people pleasers. Now, I'm trying not to label myself as anything, because when you label yourself as something, then subconsciously you're saying, oh, that's what I am, so I'm just going to do the things that align with that. I'm not a people pleaser. I used to be a people pleaser. That was past Caitlin. Now I'm pleasing myself, and I'm pleasing the people that mean the most to me, my family. But the reality is that no is a complete sentence. So if you say no to somebody because the thing that they're asking you to do doesn't serve the goals that you have, or is taking time away from doing the things that you want to do that are going to move you closer to the life that you want, say no. Say no. It's either an absolutely yes or an absolutely no. There's no middle ground. If you have the middle ground to really ask yourself, like, does this serve me? Does it serve where I want to be in my life, or does it not? Because when you're saying yes to everybody else, you're saying no to yourself at some capacity. You're saying no to a potential opportunity that could fill that space where you said yes to something that isn't going to help you at all. And it's not a selfish thing. It's not about, oh, this is just for me. Because think about times when maybe you said yes to somebody else, but then you had to say no to another friend because that friend, who maybe wasn't as important as this friend, filled that gap. Don't be afraid to say no. And again, no is a complete sentence, so you don't need a reason. Just say no, set boundaries. It's your life. Your life. And finally, last but not least, number 6. And this is one that I wasn't going to actually include, but then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I need to include this one because I feel like it's what I'm building everything around, and that's, don't believe everything that you hear on the internet. Don't believe everything that you watch on the news. Really don't do that. You shouldn't believe really anything that you hear on the news. But there's so much bullshit on the internet. If I scroll through social media, I could literally see, I can't eat spinach, I can't eat red meat, I can't eat eggs, I can't eat dairy, I can't eat fucking broccoli, I can't eat oatmeal, it's poison. I can't drink the water from my faucet because that's also poison. I shouldn't shower because the water coming from the shower head is also poison. And you know what? Maybe I shouldn't breathe oxygen because that has a lot of toxins in it as well. Stop fucking destroying your mind with so much. The science can guide us, but at the end of the day, you have to have the awareness for what works best for you. That's it. What's going to allow you to live your best, healthiest, happiest life? Because if I search something on the internet, I can find whatever answer I want. If I search red meat kills you, I could find articles on that. If I search red meat doesn't kill you, I could also find tons of articles on that. Don't believe everybody that you hear. Have people that you trust because they have credibility and they've built that relationship with you. Whether it be like an actual relationship or you just see what they put out and they're very honest, trustworthy people. They're willing to be wrong. That's a big thing, because if somebody's always willing to be right and they die on the mountain that they've put themselves on, then there's something going on there. Like, they'll do whatever it takes to prove that what they say is right, which means lying to you. There are people who literally will have their social media account be like carnivore person or keto person, or I'm a Democrat person, or I'm a fucking Republican, whatever they are. They just label themselves as that. And then if something doesn't go their way, they're going to try and talk their way out of it. And it's like talking to a brick wall. You can't even have a conversation with them. If somebody's willing to be wrong, and if the research comes out that proves that they're wrong, then that's a good person. That's somebody who's willing to have integrity and morals. People who don't jump on every single company that comes to them. So don't believe everything that you hear on the internet. Have the awareness to be able to do your own research. If you hear something, say, oh, that sounds ridiculous. Let me do more research. Let me put more thought into it. Let me be logical, not just emotional. Emotions drive people far too much. Logic is really important. But guys, that's all that I got for you. So 6 of the biggest lessons that I've learned from my 28 years on this planet, or from my 28th year. There's a lot more. There's like hundreds to thousands to millions of different lessons that I've learned throughout my life. But the last year of my life, that's what I've learned. I wanted to share it with you guys. And I wanted to invite you to do your own self-reflection. Since the new year is coming to an end, or when you guys hear this and listen to this, the new year is just beginning. I want you to think back and do a self-reflection of 2023 for you. And ask yourself honestly, okay, what are some things that I've learned? What are some things that I need to improve on? And those are areas of opportunity. And what are some things that I really, truly want to accomplish going into the new year? But guys, go out and do one thing that's going to take you one step closer to where you want to be.